Good morning, or afternoon, or evening, or whatever time you happen to be watching this at YouTube. This is Crimson Sadrin here, or Jason. Just call me Jason, everybody does. And I'm doing something a little different today. I went ahead and I bought Sonic the Hedgehog 4 for the 360 Xbox Live Arcade, spent the $15 on it, and I decided to do a little mini review of what I did while I was playing the game. When the first stage started, I got very excited because it sounded, very Sonic-ish, very appropriate. Splash Hill Zone Act 1 and big letters, and I admit that I started grinning like a little kid because I've been waiting only 16 years for this sequel, and it started feeling pretty cool. I'm just like, oh, look at that. That looks very appropriate and yet very 3D and very new and fresh, and I liked it. And then I start running, and it's fast and it's fluid, and then an enemy smacks me in the face in the middle of a high-speed part. Just, all right, let's go. Poof. Wait, what? What? Really? I thought to myself, okay, well, here's hoping that doesn't set the tone for the rest of the game. Guess what? It did. It did set the tone for the rest of the game because while the high-speed parts are awesome, they feel great, they're very fluid, they're often broken up by a lot of little gimmicks. Enemies just out of nowhere bumping into you, or precise jumps that you have to make, or a lot of acrobatics, which, using the homing system, I'm going to say it right now, I don't mind the homing system. I like the homing system. You can pull off some pretty cool stuff with the homing system. But the game force feeds it to you. There are a great many parts where you have to make force-fed homing system jumps in order to progress in the level, or to swing from a vine, or to land in a cannon so you can get fired out of it into another cannon. These parts come up frighteningly often, and failure on these parts either sends you back 45 seconds in the level to force you to do it all again, or flat out kills you. Sure, it's easy to progress and make 20, 30, 40 extra lives, only to watch you lose those 20, 30, 40 extra lives on one part just because the timing for the jump is that precise. It is an unfortunate fact that several times while I was playing, I actually started screaming at my TV. And I don't mean my normal funny nerd rage, I mean just me being downright angry. Several times throughout the game, I actually screamed at my TV, "God, this isn't fun!" Which sucks. It's a sad state of affairs. I admit I did not play the whole game through. I admit I only got through 2 zones. Granted, there's only 4 in the game, but I also only got 2 Chaos Emeralds. I don't like the new special stages. I don't like the time limit. It was always about skill and placement, not about rush. Which is kind of amusing because the parts where you're supposed to go fast, you end up going slow on, and the parts where you're supposed to go slow on, you end up going fast on. Also, the music, I just really wasn't very impressed by it. Because if you look at, like, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, that game has some of the most memorable music ever. You're now listening to, the Ice Cap Zone. Yes, you are. It's in your head. I know it is if you're a Sonic fan. But when I got to the boss fight for the first time, I see Robotnik come down, and it's just like the first boss of Sonic 1. He drops the little ball, and it starts swinging back and forth over the ledges, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's a nice little throwback to Sonic 1, but I've done this before. Where does it change? And it did. It did. I'll admit it changed. After I hit him 4 times, he actually started getting aggressive, doing these backflips and sending that little spike ball flying. Okay, this is kind of cool. I like this, and then 2 hits later, the boss is done. Now I know how my first girlfriend felt. Because boss fights shouldn't be 6 hits. I mean, at least make them 8, and at least make it so that there's some kind of threat from the new boss forms, because there really wasn't. 12 seconds later, I'm done. And the music for the boss fights? It sounds like a circus progression. Dr. Robotnik's Big Ring Circus, whatever. It didn't fit, it didn't make me feel like I was even fighting, and it was just completely unimpressive. There are a lot of complaints that I have about Sonic the Hedgehog 4, and not a lot on the table to make up for it, and it's a sad state of affairs, but when asked if I would recommend Sonic the Hedgehog 4 to another game player, no, I wouldn't. You want to play a good Sonic game on the 360? Get Sonic and Knuckles, or buy Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection. They have good Sonic games there. Sonic 3D Blast was better than Sonic the Hedgehog 4. Sorry, Sega. You kinda screwed up. Anyways, for the final breakdown real quick, graphics I gave the game an 8 out of 10. Because when you actually do get to see what's going on, and you're not frustrated and dying, or going too fast to see it, the game's pretty. It really is. Everything's crisp and fluid, and you're always rocking a 60 frame per second frame rate, and I can get behind a game that keeps a consistent and happy frame rate. Sound, I gave the game a 5.5 out of 10, because there are a couple of sound clips that, like, they use the 1-Up theme from Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and I'm happy with that. I can go with a good retro nostalgic thing, but the music is otherwise kind of lackluster and disappointing. The sound effects are good, at least. For Control, I gave the Control a 5 out of 10, because with the homing system, it's not always reliable. The controls aren't that tight, and you have to relearn how to play Sonic because a lot of the old gameplay mechanics just don't work anymore. You can't use the spin dash to gather speed. You're expected to stay on foot the whole time, which leaves you vulnerable for when you get smacked in the face by enemies. For fun factor, I gave the game a 4, because, guys, it's just not fun. It's not fun. Like, I don't even know if I'm going to want to go back to finish it just for the sake of finishing it. The thought of it seems like a god-awful chore to me, and that's a sad thing to pay $15 for. That $15 could have been used towards another month of World of Warcraft, which I do have fun with, or towards Rock Band songs, or towards pinball tables on Pinball Effects 2, which I am having a blast with, thank you very much. As a matter of fact, I'm going to throw it out here. If there's anybody watching who has an Xbox Live gamer tag that I don't already have, please send me a YouTube message, and I'll be more than happy to add you. Overall, Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1 merits a score of 5.5 out of 10. It wasn't completely awful, but am I going to spend the money on future episodes if they make them? No. Sorry, Sega. I tried. Anyways, I have some time later on today, so I should be recording another episode of Solomon's Key. Other than that, thanks for watching, thanks for sticking around, and as always, I'll see you guys next game.